Oshibajo says federal government's goal to lift 20 million Nigerians out of poverty in 2 years now within reach. Ugandan voters return to polls to elect city mayors. Biden to be sworn in as 46th president at a scaled-back ceremony in Washington. In sports, Ndidi scores as Leicester beats Chelsea to go top. Details of the news shortly. And on to the news in full. Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo said that the federal government's vision to lift at least 20 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 2 years is now within reach. Professor Oshibajo stated this in Abuja during the virtual flag-off of the cash transfer scheme called the Rapid Response Register RRR to be facilitated through a wholly technology-based approach. This followed the successful activation of the Economic Sustainability Plan's cash transfer scheme aimed at delivering financial support to at least 1 million urban-based households. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is considering making the National Identity Number, NIN, a precondition for registering voters when the continuous voter registration exercise commences in a few weeks. A national commissioner at INEC made this known during an interview with newsmen. He said the NIN would help tackle challenges of underage voting, alien voting, and other challenges associated with registration. National Organizing Secretary of Afenifere Cole Omololu has urged the presidency to back the order of Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu asking headsmen to leave the state's forest reserves. Omololu said opposing the order given by Governor Akeredolu foretells danger for peace in southwest Nigeria. Report says that Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement said Akeredolu lacked the power to unilaterally sack headsmen from Ondo forests. Meanwhile, Oyo State government has approved the payment of 8 billion naira to the Osun State government as an asset sharing agreement for taking over the ownership of the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso. The Commissioner for Education, Olasukomi Olaleye, said the amount will be paid in 3 installments over a period of 3 years. You're listening to news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's now talk some pension and many retired teachers in Iwo, Osun State, under the contributory pension scheme, are taken to the street to protest non-payment of their pension and gratuity. The retirees who stormed Iwo East Local Council Development Area Secretariat, Olomowewe, lamented that they took to protest because of the government's refusal to pay them their pension since the year 2016, despite contributing into the contributory pension scheme while in service. One of the retirees who led the protests, Okunola Oludari, told newsmen that the state government had refused to pay their contributory pensions. The United Kingdom's Department for Work and Pension, DWP, has confirmed there will be no change to the 0.75% charge cap for the defined contributory DC occupational pension schemes. In the government's response to a call for evidence on the review of the default fund charge cap and standardized costs disclosure, the DWP said the DC market was working competitively and member-borne charges were generally well within the cap. It also acknowledged the importance of headroom in the charge cap to help manage the challenges of unforeseen events such as COVID 19. You're still listening to news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's now move to other stories. Polling stations in Uganda have opened for the voters to elect city mayors and district chairpersons. It was gathered that there were low voters' turnouts in the local government council elections compared to last week's presidential and parliamentary elections. Political commentator Sarah Bititi told newsmen that the low turnout was expected as some voters were unhappy with how the general elections were conducted. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's foreign Mnangagwa eulogized Moyo as a devoted public servant and a true hero. Moyo, Major General, was the face of the military takeover, which ushered from White House today as the new US president, with Kamala Harris becoming first woman to serve as vice president after their inauguration taking place in Washington has been scaled down due to coronavirus pandemic. US President-elect Joe Biden plans to kick off his new administration with others to restore the United States to the Paris Climate Accord and the World Health Organization. A professor of political science, Arizona State University, United States, Patience Akpan Obong says that Biden's political experience and friendship with Republicans will enable him bring peace back to the United States. Akpan Obong also said that Kamala Harris' emergence as the vice president will make African and Asian women to aspire for the position. The United Kingdom government has been urged by its former homelessness advisor, Dame Casey, to extend benefit increases worth €20 a week beyond the end of March. Casey said ending the universal credit top-up introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic will be too punitive a policy right now. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, however, said all measures will be kept under constant review. A Thai woman has been jailed for 43 years for criticizing the royal family, the country's strict sentence for insulting the monarchy. The former civil servant, known as Anna Chan, posted audio clips from a podcast on social media. The 43-year-old said she had simply shared the audio files and had not commented on the content. Thailand's Lese Majesty law, which forbids any insults to the monarchy, is among the strict in the whole world. After a 3-year break, Thailand revived the controversial law late last year in an attempt to curb months of anti-government protests, with demonstrators demanding charges to the monarchy. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has won a crucial vote to stay in power days after former Prime Minister Matteo Renzi pulled his party out of the coalition. The vote in the Senate, 156 to 140, with 16 abstentions, means that Conte does not have an absolute majority in the upper chambers. Opposition parties says they plan to ask President Sergio Mattarella to intervene to force him to resign. Conte, a law professor, had led a centrist coalition since the year 2018. The main parties in the coalition are the anti-embellishment Five Star and the center-left Democratic Party. This is news around the world in Pensioners 106.7 FM. We go on a short break, and when we return, we bring to you entertainment story and stories from the world of sport. Please stay tuned. You're welcome back. And now to entertainment scene. The outgoing president of United States, Donald Trump, has pardoned over 100 people, including American rappers Lil Wayne and Kodak Black. Lil Wayne pleaded guilty to illegally possessing a loaded weapon on a private jet while traveling to Miami in December 2020. Keita is a convicted felon stemming from a gun charged in 2007, which meant it was looking at 10 years in prison when sentenced on the 28th of January 20, on the 20th January 2021. His pardon was hardly surprising after the Grammy Award winning artist inexplicably endorsed Trump for re election last October and posed for a picture, which he was heavily criticized for on social media. And onto the world of sport, Leicester moved top of the Premier League by inflicting another damaging 2-0 defeat on Chelsea to leave manager Frank Lampard fighting to remain in charge at Stamford Bridge. The Blues have now won just two of their last eight league games to fall to eight, 9 points behind the leaders. Chelsea expected to challenge for the title after a 220 million euros spending spree in the transfer markets. A second title in 5 years would be less of a surprise despite the financial gulf between the Fox and the traditional top six in English top flight, as they have established themselves as a force to be reckoned with since Brendan Rodgers took charge nearly 2 years. And that brings us to the end of News Around the World on Pensioners 106.7 FM. But before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has said that the federal government's vision to lift at least 20 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 2 years is now within reach. Polling stations in Uganda have opened for the voters to elect city mayors and district chairpersons. United States President-elect Joe Biden to be sworn in as the 46th president at the scaled-back ceremony in Washington. It was brought to you in sports that Leicester moved top of the Premier League after defeating Chelsea. For any information, you can reach us on these mobile numbers 0812 0086 270 or 0812 1889462. The news editor is Olarisayo Uweye. Oluwayomi Adeshino led the production crew. My name is Bilkis Ishola Taiwo. Good afternoon.